Water.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition, finally, of the Tougies Take podcast. After an unplanned week away, before a planned week away. It's unfortunate how that works out. We missed both shows last week because I was sick. The fiance, who I have mentioned before, is a music teacher, enlisted me to be the audio technician for her school's winter concerts. And I can only suppose being around that many small children immediately made me sick, because that's all kids do is make adults around them sick. And it sucks. Like I'm sitting there at the back of the gym the entire time. The only thing I can think is there was a 5-minute span where all the band kids were in her classroom, and I was in that room too. And that 5 minutes was all it took to get sick.
Yes.
Monsters. All of them. So they cost us a week of the podcast, unfortunately. And today we will do our best to catch up on the events of the past week in the hockey world. And then this Thursday, we'll be back for what will pretty much be our final show of 2022. Like I said, very unfortunate timing with getting sick. But on Thursday, we're going to take a look back at some of the biggest news stories in the hockey world from the past year. And that'll pretty much bring us to the end of 2022, as I'll be unavailable next week. I'm taking a week off for like the first time that doesn't involve travel to like Vancouver or Finland or anywhere else in the US, really. Like those have been the only times I've taken time off. I sent for you from a content creation standpoint. Hello, by the way.
Hi.
From a content creation standpoint, how much time have you ever just taken off and just been like, I'm not making videos? Granted, you don't stream as much, but I'm not making videos. I need some time.
In the past fucking months. But that was also when I was an alcoholic. So that was before I actually got serious about YouTube. That was like 2014, 15, even parts of 16, maybe. No, that was when I got sober. So yeah. Yeah, I would just like disappear for fucking like a month. no explanation, no nothing. But yeah, since then, I know in 2018 I took some time off after my mom passed away. I took like at least a few weeks. I can't remember how long exactly, but obviously I was not in a place where I felt like I could give energy into making good content.
Right.
Yeah, other than that, just, a month off when I was in Finland. That was only supposed to be 2 weeks, but I fell in love with that place.
That you did. To kind of my point there, it's so difficult when you're in the routine of being a content creator. It's so difficult even to just be like, yeah, it's the holiday season, I'll take time off. Like, that's a tough decision to make. Like, even now, I'm just like, well, I could technically bring my entire work set up like I do when I, visiting my parents and set up in my mom's freaking arts and crafts room, for God's sake. But this time I'm trying to make the tough decision of just like, no, I will bring the Xbox for entertainment purposes, but I'm leaving the PC. I'm leaving it all. Very tough. I kind of like you mentioned, right? Like outside of travel or something more serious, it's very difficult to kind of just be like, taking a break. So
yeah, I've tried to get myself more into a habit. Like sometimes between franchise series, I'll take like a week off just to, for one, get the roster set up for members, and another just like to just reset. Sometimes it's nice.
Yeah, it's not a very easy move and decision to make, but yeah. So Thursday should be our final show of the year. Like I said, we'll take a look back at 2022 as the year was, and we'll be back in early 2023, which is less than 2 weeks away. That is mind-boggling, really. And Sim, before you know it, it's going to be mid to late February. We're both going to be in Finland again.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy how fast it goes. That said, hello to Endo Mills as well, our resident snack connoisseur on this podcast.
Hi, I'm eating
What's
pasta.
on the menu today? And
pasta with some Parmesan in it and some nice like tomato sauce, all that good stuff. Viewers can see this. It looks beautiful, nice and orangey red. Sorry, it's nice. Tastes really good. I can just eat pasta and sauce for like the entirety of the rest of my life. Honestly, it's good al dente.
The carbo loading endo mills, always a delight. With that, though, speaking of something that's always a delight, we have to, of course, mention our lovely sponsor of the Tougies Take podcast. As always, it is our friends at Manscaped. It is not too late, although it might be. I mean, the time of recording, we're 5 days out from Christmas. It might be a little bit late, but if you miss that window of opportunity, well, the window of opportunity in general is always open. There's never a bad time to go to manscaped.com, to use code Tougie, Tougie, at checkout for 20% off your order and free shipping. There's never a bad time to do it. It's not just the holiday season where cylindrical deodorant is going to benefit you. That's a 24/7, 365 kind of deal. Not even including leap years. Is next year a leap year? When's the next leap year? I don't care. It's never a bad idea to go to manscaped.com, to use code Tougie at checkout, to get 20% off your order and free shipping for all the lovely products that they have. Whether it comes down to the weed whacker for those pesky nose and ear hair, whether it comes down to the wonderful lawnmower 4.0 to help take care of your balls and general groin region. Fun fact, the fiance and I started watching The Sopranos. Now, why? I don't know. I think in a general sense, we got HBO Max because she wanted to watch some of the Christmas movies on there, and then we were looking for a new show to watch, and I'm like, pick 3 off of the list. Sopranos is on there. I'm like, yeah, we're doing it. And in season 1, Tony Soprano calls his groin region. He mentions his basket. Never a bad time to tend to the basket, as I will be calling the crotchal region from now on. Never a bad time to tend to the basket either. Manscaped.com, code Tougie at checkout. 20% off, free shipping. You know the deal. We thank Manscaped, and we thank you for supporting the podcast. Gentlemen, shall we get to some viewer questions? I feel like it's been so long.
Yes.
Since we've heard from our fine viewers and listeners. Again, as always, whether or not you are watching this on YouTube or listening on the audio platform of your choice, there is a link in the description to go to the Discord. Go to the viewer questions section like these fine people did, and we'll start off with one Steel Devil. What GM do you think has done the best job over the past decade? Well, I don't really know the standpoint of General Motors and how well they've done. Might be doing better than Tesla right about now. Maybe not, but then again, that stock's falling pretty hard.
But the whole market it's okay. It's okay.
Every company falls 55% year on year at some point.
Only the scams.
Yeah, god damn. So I did kind of the cheat sheet for this, right? Like if we're thinking of the past decade, that still includes 2012, of course. I think you have to look at the teams that won multiple cups in that time to define who would be the best GM, right? So, on the bubble is Los Angeles, if you wanted to include that 2012 kind of run and, of course, winning in 2014. You could include Chicago's management for the 2013 and 2015 cups. You could include Pittsburgh's front office for, the back-to-back cups. Or there's the winner for me, which is Tampa. 3 or 4 cup final appearances in less than a decade. They lost to Chicago in 2015, won back-to-back cups, and then lost in the cup final to Colorado this year. I mean, if any fan base would just be like, yep, I wish that was the front office that was leading the way.
2 different GMs, though, in that situation.
Now, see, you beat me to the kind of hang-up on that, and maybe that's what disqualifies them.
I have a dark horse.
There's always
finish your point.
There's always that conversation. I can't wait to hear who you're going to bring up. There's always that conversation between when a GM swap happens. Do you give credit to the guy who built the team? Do you discredit someone because they inherited a large amount of options? Like, people love to discredit Peter Chiarelli for the 2011 Bruins team because, let's be honest, a lot of those key players, he's not the one that drafted them. Bergeron before the lockout, obviously, Marchand, Lucic immediately after. So I'm intrigued that you're a dark horse for this one.
Vancouver Canucks for giving us all the laughs and memes. No, but seriously, Dallas Stars. And here's my reasoning for this. They, while in the midst of needing probably a rebuild, they didn't. They've been able to replenish and be a consistently competitive team. Obviously, they have that, cup run, but they've always been pretty strong. Sagan and Ben, when they, were first kind of starting out there, were tremendous, and they dropped off, but they're starting to have a resurgence again. My thing, though, Rupe Hintz was drafted, 42nd overall or 46th overall? He just signed long-term for an amazing deal. They essentially have a new 1C. They've. When's the last time we've seen a team switch cores this quickly? You had the Sagan Ben years, and now all of a sudden they're second fiddle to guys like Rupe Hintz, the entire Finnish mafia over there, Robertson. They signed Pavelski, think of that team. You have Rupe Hintz, Hakanpää, Kiviranta, Heiskanen, and there's one more I'm forgetting. A Finn on that team, but they've essentially gone from old core to new core without any real teardown or thing in between, and they're consistently being a contender. They have Jake Ottinger, who's a fucking elite goaltender minimum, maybe franchise, signed to a pretty good deal. Jason Robinson on a steal now. This team's not going to go away.
The second he signed it.
Yes, yeah. That's like my dark horse. That's just what I'm thinking. I don't know, man. Like the more I think about how Dallas has sort of managed things, they were in such a rough situation with Ben and Sagan. They're still fine, and that's pretty damn good. Just get the owner to shut up and let the GM do things.
And to that point, Jim Nill's been the GM there, I believe, since 2013.
Okay.
So I think he's right now. I'm trying to think of who else might be the longest tenured GM in the league right now, but it's a tough question to answer in general, right? Because there's so many of those different factors. Like, do you automatically disqualify GMs who don't have a cup? Do you disqualify a team where it's like, well, you had a change in, who the GM was for portions of that success, like Tampa did, and Steve Yzerman leaving? It's tough. It just really does depend on how you want to quantify it. And the funny thing, I think you could almost retroactively, like 10 years from now, say we're talking about the 2 Dallas Stars Cups of the 2020s. Do you retroactively go back and say, well, Jim Nill built those teams?
Absolutely could.
So, like, is it fair to answer who the best GM of the past decade was until you're like further than a decade removed from that era? Like, right now is a good time to answer who the best GM of the 2000s happened to be, because there's enough time removed from it, and we would have been able to see, kind of what GM, what teams were able to do that GMs at the time built. So honestly, I think that's my new answer, Sin. I think you won me over just off of the Jim Nill conversation alone. I don't have an answer because I think it's too early. Endo,
cop out. Just kidding.
It is. I was about to say, Endo, am I just a bitch who can't answer the question? As you're muted because you're eating pasta while recording, but we love you.
Yeah, because I'm a hungry motherfucker. That's exactly why. I was gonna say, I have no answer either. So like, I don't know, man. I'm looking through everything right now to see who was what and what was who, and I can't find an actual list of who was GM for that team. Yeah. So
yeah, I think there is like, what is it? NHL Trade Tracker is one of my favorite sites because you can sort trades by GM, and it'll kind of give you. Actually, yeah, that is it's NHLTradeTracker.com, and it will give you a list of every team's GM and their history. But so if we're talking about the 2010s, not to go through it, like, there's the Bob Murrays of the world in Anaheim. I do have an answer, and it's clearly Peter Chiarelli. But then you get into there's a lot of meme picks that you could get into. By the way, do you remember the 1 year of Patrick Waz, the GM of the Colorado Avalanche? Because I don't. I only remember him as the coach. Maybe he was coach and GM at the same time.
Weird.
I think so. Yeah.
Bob
But
Murray
apparently,
of the Ducks is another meme pick.
God, yeah, right. In a lot of ways. And to confirm, yeah, Jim Nill has been the GM in Dallas since 2013, which is frankly kind of crazy. But
Yeah,
that's a very loaded question. But honestly, I like where we ended up with that little discussion. From RG Dust, thoughts on the Cam Atkinson for Jake Voracek trade now? Side note, will any of you be going to see Avatar: The Way of Water?
Is that blue person Avatar or anime Avatar?
Blue person Avatar.
Yes, then I will.
basketball playing Smurfs. Yeah, that's what someone in 6th grade told me it was, and I'm like, all right, I'll take your word for it. And I watch it, and I'm like, yeah, that's just basketball playing Smurfs. I'm not gonna watch
Doing it in the ponytail, blue person.
Jake
Avatar.
Sully.
That shit was hot.
What the fuck?
I'm a
What
man
the
of refined tastes, Endo. All right?
Apparently.
Fucking
Holy
Jesus.
hell.
God.
Dude,
So-
you ever banged in nature, man? You should do it sometime, Endo.
Not what I'm drinking, buddy. Come on.
Oh, God. An answer that would have only come from the Californian. Although, in
Oh my
fairness,
God.
it's a woodsy area around these parts as well, so no further comment. In a general sense, though, your thoughts on Avatar? Like, because I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it when it came out on DVD back in the day. Like, it's just, to me, it was just such a generic storyline. And, like, James Cameron movies, like, box office-wise, you know, it'll always kind of go a little bit better. Because someone like Sin, it was just like, I guess I'll go see it eventually. I don't know, man. Like, for James Cameron, like, you're talking Aliens, you're talking the Terminators, the early Terminators, the good Terminators. There was just something about Avatar where it was just almost too formulaic of,
Yeah.
here's the soldier doing a job for his country, but then he becomes attached to the people, and the people feel betrayed, but then he saves the day.
Yeah, no, I
Like,
can see it.
man, like, I watched fucking Atlantis, the Disney movie, as a kid. That was the same fucking storyline. That's the same storyline and everything. That's the storyline of Oliver and Company. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I found it way too formulaic, and it wasn't enough to be like, ooh, pretty. The only memories I have of that are the memes. The Jake Sully shit, as Endo mentioned.
Ooh,
like,
Jake Sully.
the typical evil white man in this fucking mech as the villain.
It's just
Like,
Bezos. Just
It's
goddamn
what
it.
it is.
I just like the parallels. I think if you, obviously the movie, yes, it is generic, but it's good at making parallels to the real life and sending a message of like, hey, maybe stop raping the natural world and everything that lives there. It's just a metaphor. And that's what I really like, movies with metaphors. So I think it's catered to a more simplistic type side to try to get that message across in the biggest way possible of stop going to these foreign areas and trying to take advantage of, those, natural inhabitants. Like, it's fucking heartbreaking. They burned down their goddamn tree, dude. You fucking fuck, goddamn natural resource pillaging United States Army. I mean, World Defense Coalition, whatever the hell they're called in that.
You fuck me.
You know how many U.S. soldiers were assigned to guard poppy fields in Afghanistan? A lot. What happened next? The opioid epidemic. Connect the dots, people.
True.
Wake up,
Avatar.
people. Wake up. We're continuing the bit from last time.
You're kidding me? That guy loves opioids. He's not
That's why
he's
I'm
not calling that
it.
out.
I'm calling out to get my fuel.
This is a real conspiracy. He only deals in fake ones.
Give me my gamer fuel.
Alex Jones branded gamer fuel.
Own the libs
pure
and the
testosterone so you can make you kill your enemies any harder.
own the libs in the online lobbies. Oh man!
Shout out to Avatar, where everyone got fucked in a variety of different ways. So
Yeah.
the Cam Atkinson, Jake Voracek trade.
I like how RG just snuck in an additional question that he knew would make us go on a tangent.
Oh my god, that
Wow,
was beautiful. That was beautiful. So, Originally, this was a 1-for-1 trade in July of 2021. Cam Atkinson is out for the season. He has not played this year due to a neck injury. Jake Voracek is currently out injured, presumably for the rest of the year. Maybe his career potentially over due to concussion issues. So the thoughts on the trade, I want to cry. It sucks a lot. I mean, if you want to be like brutalist about it, like it benefits the Flyers to not have a player like Cam Atkinson because it's better for them to be bad right now. And for Columbus, it's just another swift kick in the nads as that fan base has gotten all season long, as they went from having a tremendous amount of hype because holy shit, Johnny Gaudreau came here, and now everyone's hurt. Werenski 6 months, just everyone's hurt. So, my thoughts on that trade, I'd like to cry, and unsurprisingly, less to say about this than Avatar.
Can't have shit in
Everyone
Ohio.
loses.
Yeah, can't have shit
No, the
in
only
Ohio.
the only thing you're allowed to have in Ohio is fucked weather, tornado winds.
Fucked weather, opioids, and Alex Jones G Fuel. The 3 staples of Ohio.
The 3 horsemen of the apocalypse. What's the 4th one? We need one more. Jeez.
The gay frogs.
The game.
The 4 pillars of Ohio. Bad weather, Alex Jones G Fuel, opioids, and Ohio State football. OH.
Oh,
Someone said IO on the other side of that, and I respect you. Wasn't one of these two, though, because college sports, who really cares?
I can get on about something else related to Ohio, but I won't.
I don't know if Chilson listens to this podcast, but
No,
if so, he's
no,
like,
no,
say
no.
it.
No, it's all good. Oh, man.
Oh, God. And our final question comes from Broken Wheelchair. Who will be the next NHL head coach to be fired? So, again, I did kind of a little bit of research. You have the bottom feeders, which right now, from 32nd up, Chicago's dead last. Abysmal by design. Change your logo and get a new owner still. So, if they change their head coach, whatever. Anaheim, probably. I mean, again, they're in that bottom feeder category. Any of these teams could change head coach at any time. Columbus, San Jose, Arizona.
San Jose just hired Quinn. He's probably not going anywhere.
And for most of these teams, there's no urgency. Because at this rate, you're bad. You might as well be as bad as you can be to get a better draft pick and have a better shot at getting Connor Bedard, Matvei Michkov, whoever. Then, in between what I've ranked as those bottom feeders and the disappointments, there's Philadelphia, where John Tortorella is currently waging the war of the locker room, the culture war of the locker room, after he scratched team leading scorer Kevin Hayes because of a perceived lack of effort defensively and stuff like that. This is a long-term play by him to try and get the locker room and the effort and the culture of the team where he wants it to be, although he might not be there long-term. You have no idea, right? I mean, it would be smart, I think, for Philadelphia to keep him long-term, but who the fuck knows? It's Philadelphia, and their fucking opinion changes like the goddamn weather. There's the disappointments. Ottawa, Nashville, Florida, St. Louis, Calgary, all much lower in the standings than you would suspect. I would put Ottawa at the top of this list, although St. Louis is kind of right there too, where it's like, okay, maybe a change is necessary. Calgary, they're all kind of in the same ranking, really, for Florida. I mean, they just hired a brand new head coach, so I wouldn't suspect that.
Yeah.
And then there's Vancouver,
Yay!
where last night fans were chanting, "Sell the team," after they got blown out by St. Louis on home ice. And then there was this from earlier in the week. Elliot Friedman, 32 Thoughts. Canucks are not interested in a rebuild or a teardown, but they are interested in changing their mix and breathing new life into the team.
So
They have
rebuild.
indicated they have one untouchable, Elias Pettersson.
Damn.
I'm sure the fifth retool will be just what you need.
Holy shit, though, man. Like the idea of like, well, if the offer's good enough, we'll listen to Quinn Hughes deals. Are you insane? And then Frank Saravalli mentioned that the Canucks offered Bo Horvat just over $5 million a year for 8 years in the summer that he rightfully said no to.
Yeah.
And now he's one of the highest scoring players in the NHL.
Bet on yourself. That's all it is.
The
all you gotta
fucking
do.
Aaron Judge of the NHL this season, Bo
Not only,
Horvat.
not only bet on yourself, get the fuck out of Vancouver.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. As a pending UFA, you're hearing the same shit you've been hearing since you got there about, well, we don't want to rebuild or retool. We just need to get the right pieces into the mix.
You're about to lose one of those.
Yeah.
You're about to lose your fucking captain.
You about to lose your job. Get this thing.
I'm just curious, like, how the hell did they not find success with, like, Horvat and Pettersson down the middle? You always hear you build a championship team from down the middle. Here's why. They signed JT Miller long-term instead of selling him, and that man is proving that he has no interest in playing defense. And then you have Bo Horvat, who's an incredible two-way center, and now, entering his prime, has this insane offensive production. You're going to lose him.
And
they simply are.
You just re-signed Brock Besser, and we've already heard that his name is out there in trade rumors and that his agent's allowed to explore a trade. So,
lol, if they trade Quinn Hughes. I'm surprised that he's not listed as an untouchable. That's kind of crazy.
27 points in 27 games for Quinn Hughes, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a defenseman.
All assists, too. Jake Voracek method. Man, just, I don't get it, right? It's that idea of, okay, we need a change in the mix, but you didn't sell JT Miller. You just re-signed Brock Besser, and you're already talking about moving him. And then you didn't re-sign Bo Horvat. You lowballed him. He's making 5.5 now, and they offered him 5.125 for 8 years. And now he's, again, has 22 goals in 31 games this year, point per game player, on a bad Canucks team.
Yeah.
With a brand new GM and Patrick Alvan leading the team, so it's not even as if it's like, oh, well, it's still freaking Bim Jennings leading the way. There was the entire thing with Bruce Boudreau and whether or not they were going to bring him back, even though he almost, led the charge for them getting back to the playoffs. The Canucks are, man, who can you even compare them to in terms of how bad of a spot they're in? Like, it's almost reminiscent to Montreal, where it's like, well, we're too good to be bad, we're too bad to be good. Then they go on the run and you keep Bergie biceps for a little bit, and then the season was terrible, so you got rid of him, and then finally cleaned house and got all new voices in there, and it worked. Is it an ownership thing with the Aquilinis and how they might put pressure on a GM? I mean, we know that happens. We have seen what Pierre Dorian has been able to do when he's not being micromanaged, like clearly micromanaged by Eugene Melnyk, of course. I don't know. Like, we've talked about the Canucks on and off, and then these news, blips just keep coming out about how fucked this team is. I mean, again, like, hey, more power to you. I don't know how you find someone to take the JT Miller contract, but, that's a $8 million for 7 years extension that kicks in next year. What do you do about Bo Horvat? I mean, you could get a hell of a haul for Bo Horvat. You tell him, or you tell teams that he's available. Yeah, he's the gem of the deadline, even above someone, say, like if Chickard was out there again. I don't know, man. I don't know. Canucks fans, I'm fully with you. For a while, I said, hey, be patient. It was still early on in the season. No, this team is fundamentally broken, and I don't really see how they're gonna fix it.
It's like Buffalo, kind of at this point. Like,
Yeah.
remember when they had those owners they brought in, they got all that state-of-the-art shit, and there's that team could never, ever fix anything. Fucking Jack Eichel couldn't fix things. They seem to kind of maybe be on the up and up now, but they're doing that thing again where they'll win a bunch and they'll lose a bunch. And
Yeah. Unless they're
It's
wearing
still
the,
Buffalo.
unless they're wearing the red and black goat head.
Yeah.
In which case they're pretty fucking good in that jersey. I don't know if they've lost yet. If they have, it's only been once or twice, which is hilarious. So, Canucks fan, I mean, that's my vote, right? Like, Bruce Boudreau wasn't exactly the GM's choice, but probably felt the pressure to keep him on. I would be shocked if he makes it to the end of January at this rate. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I mean, knowing the Canucks, to just be like, fire him over the holidays. Why not? And honestly, I mean, at that point, you got to kind of do what's right for the team. So while the optics would be bad, since when do the Canucks care about bad optics? Go ahead and get rid of him. You employed Alex Burrows for years. Since when do you care about bad optics?
Yeah.
So the Canucks are screwed.
Water is
We
wet.
talked. Water is wet. And and Ohio sucks.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a section that I have lovingly deemed stat time because there were some milestones hit. First and foremost, it happened about a week ago, or actually a week ago. Alexander Ovechkin. There was a weird cut there. Don't worry about it. Started off 2022, and I kind of saw this in my early research for our best of show, our most talked about topics of 2022 for Thursday. Started off this year very much in the spotlight for everything that's going on between Russia and Ukraine, of course. But by the end of the year, he has the conversation back to where I'm sure he'd prefer to have it, as he scored his 800th career goal, becoming only the third player to do so in league history. The only player to do so, by the way, playing for just one team. Worth noting in terms of some of these stats, and it's absurd. Most goals against a single franchise, Winnipeg, because of their time as the Thrashers.
You just pump them. Jesus Christ.
Oh, dude, was. Oh God, just not pretty to watch him play Atlanta.
Unless you were a Caps fan, then it was pretty.
Yeah, then it was great.
Yeah, those were the days. And then against our favorite teams, had to note it. Against the Leafs, 41 career goals.
Okay.
28 against the Bruins, and only 14 against the Sharks, obviously, because Western road trips and such. So wanted to mention those. I was actually wondering if he would have more goals scored against the Leafs or against the Bruins. The answer was the Leafs by a decent amount. And then some of the other numbers here are just absurd. So he scored his first goal on October 5th, 2005 against Columbus. It took him 167 games to hit 100 goals. He'd do that in October of 2007 against the Rangers. It took him 130 games to hit 200.
Jesus.
So from October of 2007 to February of 2009. It then took him 178 games to hit 300 from February 2009 to April 2011 against the Leafs. 162 games to hit 400. He did that in December of 2013 against Carolina. 168 games to hit 500. Did that against Ottawa in 2016. 190 games to hit 600. So in between 5 and 600, 190 games. That was in March 2018 against Winnipeg. 155 games to hit 700 in February 2020 against New Jersey. And then 162 games between 700 and 800 when he scored on December 13th.
So consistent.
So what you're basically saying is that he needs 2 years to beat the record.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna see it happen. I can put money on it. I will put money. I'll put like $1, whatever. I'm not gonna.
This
just
span of games is the second shortest, tied for second shortest ever between 100 goals. 100 and 200 was only 130 games. And then you had the gap between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8, both at 162 games.
Wow. 2 seasons.
We're talking about the gap between 3 and 4 happening a decade ago. And he matched that pace between 7 and 800.
Crazy.
That is fucking absurd. The comparison to Gretzky and Howe. Gretzky hit 800 goals at age 33. It took him 231 games between 700 and 800 to get there. 231. 4 years younger than Ovi, who did it in 162. Gordie Howe hit 800 at age 51. So his goals per game, between goals 7 and 800, Ovi's was at .62, Gretzky at .44. It just shows how dominant early on Gretzky was. The sustained fucking greatness of Alex Ovechkin on ice is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Again, the largest gap between 100 goals was 190 games. Whereas how many players... Like, you can imagine how high the percentages of how many players had anywhere near 100 goals by 190 games played. And for Ovi, that was just... How many players have a career goal in 190 games played? You know? There's going to be quite a few that don't.
Yeah.
It's absurd. He is 94, at least as of a week ago, was 94 behind Gretzky. I don't know if he's scored in the past week. I did see a clip that he hit the post, and you're going to see that a lot, by the way, over the next 2 years. Anytime he comes close, he hits a post or just missed, that's going to be on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say
he is still at 800 on the dot.
800. I was like, this will be the only time when posting post highlights is like acceptable, or if it's shinny when you're playing post. Like, that's the only time you're going to see anyone post anything about hitting the post or crossbar or anything whatsoever. That is crazy.
It's just yeah. It's absurd.
I was gonna say, this is the only time where, like, that image where it's like, I sure to hope I wish I wasn't living in like a historical moment right now. I'm happy that I'm living in a historical moment right now. This is gonna be intense. I can guarantee you the tickets for like the next like 10 games when he's like a goal away from getting it are gonna be so fucking expensive. Teams are gonna mark that price up so much. So
the resale market's gonna be absurd.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're smart, the minute those like season tickets come out for the year, you go. You just do it.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't. I don't know. Like, would we have seen anything like that in the past decade? Because the last event like that I can recall was when Barry Bonds was chasing the home run record. Yeah. You know, just in terms of that idea of like fans are like, we have to be here to see this happen, because it doesn't happen all that often, obviously. Crazy thing is, 62.9% of his goals have been even strength. He has 503 even strength goals, which is fourth most in NHL history.
Yep.
36.5% of his goals have been power play goals. He has the most in NHL history at 292. And you have to wonder how many have been one-timers from the fucking face-off circle.
Yeah,
like
I wish I had a number on that one. So many, man. Like, he's just so good. He's the best at what he does, clearly. And I have also liked how he sort of evolved his game a lot more over time. Like, he still throws the body, but it's nothing like he used to. He used to be like fucking wrecking ball out there, just reckless abandon, just like that was how he played defense. I remember they used to have a thing in Washington games called the Ovechcam. And they would just whenever he was on the ice, there would just be a little fucking like a face cam on Twitch, but it was just the camera following Ovechkin the whole time. And he'd be at the top like of the blue line, he'd just be like doing circles. And then if the puck came back to the point, he'd run over and throw a hit on the guy and then just go back to just waiting. He like wasn't really defending, just waiting for the puck to like begin to exit the zone. Like, crazy. But yeah, he's I mean, we should see him break the record, and that's going to be fantastic. I hope he just keeps going.
Worth noting, home and away goals, by the way, are almost split 50-50. 51% of his goals have been scored on the road, which is the most in NHL history, 409 of them. Then, there's this stat, which I like. How many shorthanded goals has Alex Ovechkin scored in his career?
69.
0.
Worth 0.6% of his all-time goals. He has 5 shorthanded goals.
I knew it was going to be low. Like, you don't put Ovi on the PK.
No. But apparently, it worked out a couple of times.
Trotz years, maybe.
That's definitely like 2 penalties. One's like an offset, so he gets out of the box early, and you're technically down a skater or whatever. You're just going through.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how those goals are scored. And I'm assuming that when Trotz was coach, because Trotz was trying him out at center for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
Well, God,
that.
there was a year that he led voting for both left and right wings. Because they just kept playing him in different spots, and the website's like, I don't know what to do.
Oh man.
So, Alex Ovechkin, we don't have to hype him up too much beyond, of course, the just absurdity of those stats. And you'll continue to see that stuff over the next couple of years where, yeah, it would take a very, very dramatic fall off or injury to really prevent him from tying Wayne Gretzky at this point. I mean, he's what, 37 years old? I mean, fuck, if Gordie Howe can hit 800 at 51 years old, I just don't envision a world where, unless Ovi just decides, you know what, out of respect, 893 and I'm done. Just to prove that I could have done it, but out of respect for Wayne, I'm not going to. That doesn't seem to line up with Ovi's personality type, but I'm just saying it would take something like that for him to not beat the record.
Yeah, and I feel like Wayne would be like, get the fuck back out there and break my record. Like, Wayne's the kind of guy who wants to see people break his records. Like, he wants the evolution of hockey to continue and for these great players to continue to grow the game. So, Ovi's going to break it. Like, unless something horrible happens. And at this point, no one, I don't care. Like, do not touch Ovi. Don't you dare hit that man. Play him with Tom Wilson for the fucking forever now.
Yeah.
Honestly, you might have to play him with a goon because there is going to be some younger, dumb guy who just will try to make his name off of just lighting Alexander Ovechkin up.
Yeah.
Arbor Jack Eye.
Sit Ovi in every game against Montreal from now on. It's not worth the risk of how many goals he could score. Speaking of how many goals somebody could score, Tage Thompson.
From one elite goal scorer to another.
To the man who will eventually beat Ovi's record. Tage Thompson. The fourth liner turned generational talent. All it took was trading away Jack Eichel.
Oh my God.
So these numbers for Tage are fucking absurd. Has 26 goals and 50 points on the season, making him just the fourth player in franchise history to reach 50 points in 32 or fewer games. Tage Thompson is the third player in the NHL this season to reach 50 points. The tweet is from @SaberStats, who mentions that, and they have to put in brackets and just and first non-Oiler, just to show, like, literally that's where fucking McDavid and Draisaitl are now, for God's sakes. Is literally teams are having to be like, he's the first guy not an Oiler to do it.
Yeah.
That's how unfair it is. It's crazy. And then he has 25 goals in his last 25 games, becoming the first Sabres player to do that since Alex Mogilny in 1993. How long ago? And the answer is not all that long ago. Were we talking about, like, oh boy, Tage Thompson, what could have been had he lived up to his potential? Like, It's just insane. Like, you have a prospect reach 23 years old, and to have his stat line look like what it looked like. The 2020-2021 season, 14 points in 38 games, and you're like, oh, okay. Full season, he can be like a third line, 30-point guy. And then again, last year, 68 points, and this year has 50 and 32. I don't, when is the last time? I hope he can sustain it, too. Because we've had examples of players just kind of show up, whether it be, super small blips on the radar, and this name's only on my mind because I was playing NHL 15 last night. The 360 version. We'll be playing the shit version tonight on stream. Corey Conacher. Where it's like, I don't know, where it's like, holy shit, is Corey Conacher the next guy? They traded him to Ottawa for Ben Bishop, and bam, Corey Conacher's off the map. Or you have Jonathan Chichu, where it was a little bit more sustained, and then, oh shit, what happened?
It was, when the Maurice Richard, and then regression since then. Poor guy.
Just wonder for I hope it's sustainable. I'll say that first and foremost for Sabres fans. I really do. For the architects of the world, I hope it turns out that he's not trash. I don't know, man. I just really hope it works out. Like, he's 25 years old, and if he is actually at this level, even someone like Ryan Johansson, that's, even if he becomes Ryan Johansson, he'll still have a solid career. But it's like, I'm kind of afraid that's what it might be, because Ryan Johansson kind of out of nowhere, just exploded for Columbus. Maybe not even to this level, and then got traded to Nashville and was just kind of okay. I really hope we see this sustained greatness from Tage Thompson, because it's one of the best stories in hockey this year.
I mean, even if he only gets 68 points a year after this, that's still really good.
Yeah.
And
like-
immediately makes him worth that contract extension.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the year before he had 68 points, and then I don't think he'll be able to have this kind of pace year in and year out. But at the same time, for a guy who was, I believe, drafted mid-first, I'm gonna check real quick.
Tage Thompson was a late first-round pick.
Even better,
The St. Louis Blues. He came over in the O'Reilly trade.
Yeah.
late first-round pick. You get a 60, 70 point guy. That's a fucking win. Like
26th
in
overall
itself.
in 2016.
That's
Dude.
pretty fucking good.
Like this is a big dub. When I think of one of the Sharks' kind of more later, mid to late first round picks, that is incredible. I think of Tomas Hertl. He's never put up this crazy level of sustained points. He's a solid 60, 70 point guy. We fucking love him for it. If you get that from Tage Thompson, very similar player to Hertl if you think about it. Kind of size, build, like, can use that body quite well, can score goals, we'll see.
It's funny. I don't like doing this because I don't like shitting on these players because, like, hey, they might not, be of the same, the same level, been put in the same circumstances, stuff like that. But I had to look at that 2016 draft, and holy shit, it was hit or miss to begin with. It's Matthews, Laine, Dubois at the top, and then Puljujarvi, Olli-Levy, 4 and 5. But Thompson was taken 26th. The forwards taken before him: Riley Tufte, Max Jones, Henrik Borgstrom, German Rubtsov, Julien Gauthier, Kiefer Bellows, Luke Kunin, Michael McLeod, Logan Brown, Tyson Jost, Alex Nylander. Like, it takes until 7th overall Clayton Keller where you could start to have a conversation, and then Matthew Tkachuk went 6th. Like, as to Sin's point, just the idea of, like, 26th overall, you get a player of that caliber. Like, God, it's a win already for the Blues. I mean, sure, you traded O'Reilly and he won or for the Sabres, you trade O'Reilly to the Blues and he wins a cup. It's worked out very well for them too. But yeah, just one of the craziest stories to think, like, oh, they traded Jack Eichel for what? But the biggest thing about that was it allowed Tage Thompson to get that ice time to turn into this. That Sabres Golden Knights trade is one of the craziest ever at this point already. Side note, only because I checked Twitter while we were recording. We have a random tweet from friend of the show, Jay Fresh Hockey.
Wait, I think I know exactly
It
what
reads
you're
as
talking about.
stated. 5 words. Wait, Risto has 0 points?
Yeah.
0 points in 25 games and a -5 for Rasmus Ristolainen on the Philadelphia Flyers. Just
But you know what? He's a
25.
right-hander. He's big and he can hit.
he can
he's
block
averaging-
shots too. Like, oof.
He's averaging
not-
one shot a game. One
It's
shot.
not
a game.
his role to get points. Come on, guys.
He was, you know what? That was one of his supposed upsides when he was in Buffalo. Like
not to just have Risto catching random strays here, but it was too good of a tweet to not bring up upon seeing it. And I had to, and the hockeywriters.com from May of 2013, Rasmus Ristolainen prospect profile: big body on the back end, intelligent puck mover, a boy amongst men, and one of the most talented defenders in this year's drafts. So, first little subsection: the Finnish Pronger.
Oh no! Oh
Ooh.
no! No, that's ooh.
well, he's
a
in
good one.
Philly.
Yeah. NHL potential, top pairing defenseman that can play every situation and quarterback a power play.
God damn, how quickly things change.
I feel bad for him
QB4.
because I'm sure he's a nice guy, and it's not good for him securing the bag, good for his agent, but holy shit, Philadelphia.
He's
Yeah.
a great guy. I've heard him in interviews. He seems like it. Plus, he's Finnish, so he's automatically a pretty cool dude.
There you go. Speaking of pretty cool dudes, Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
The only bright spot of the San Jose Sharks this year. Reached 700 career points in the past week. His 700-point and 871-game pace is the fastest to 700 by any active NHL defender. Only raises the question, because it's funny, in response to this on Reddit, like one of the top comments was "fuck Matt Cook," and it really does, which in a general sense, yes, yes, it really does raise the question of what the hell. Like he's great as it is. What was that next level that he was potentially robbed of by injury?
Yeah,
kind of similar to Crosby in that way.
Very.
Crosby's still one of the best of all time. And the thought is, of course, he could have been even better had he not been hurt in that Winter Classic.
Oh, yeah. He was so good. He was on the NHL 13 and 14 Legends roster while he was still like 26.
Dude, I remember that.
Karlsson.
I remember that mostly because I used to let my friend play with that team because he wasn't as good as me. I'd let him play with the Legend team, and I would play with Team Poland, and we'd go 1v1, and I'd usually win.
It's like my cousin who'd constantly play with we're just gonna completely sidetrack what you're talking about, Tougie, but he would play with the Centennial Habs every fucking time. Mm-hmm. And every time I hop into a game now and I see that fucking toilet logo, I have PTSD. I shit you not. I have performance anxiety against the Habs. You think it's a joke? I'm being honest.
I think a lot of people have that similar story. Like this is, like you said, like cousin, little brother territory of like, shit, I gotta handicap myself here.
Yeah.
My favorite story of that ilk is me and my best friends, my two best friends, that we were playing WWF No Mercy, and one of my friends and I played this game one summer every fucking day for hours on end. Because we were playing basketball and I fucked up my ankle and was in a cast all summer. So we played a lot of No Mercy. I also watched a lot of Trading Places, the show where someone's wife went to someone else's house for a week.
Oh yeah.
That was the only thing that was on TV in the summer, boy, and holy hell, what a summer.
And Wife Swap, oh my god.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's another
friend,
form of entertainment. Wife Swap.
Yeah.
Never played. I just never thought I'd get a chance to mention Wife Swap and Trading Places. So good. My other friend never played No Mercy. So we did the special referee match, and I helped my friend who never played win. And my other friend stormed out of the house and did not talk to me for a week. We were 20 years old.
That's the best part, is that you're fucking 20. Oh man.
Erik Karlsson, what could have been but what is, and to that point, just how he's managed since finally, because you talked about it a lot this season, how he's finally managed to find that groove again after a couple of years of shit, not the same, the ankle's clearly not the same. But yeah, 700 career assists, or 700 career points. Geez, about time he had 700 career assists. But awesome for Erik Karlsson. Future member of the... God. If New Jersey doesn't get Quinn Hughes from Vancouver, I hope they get Erik Karlsson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they should absolutely... Oh, I'd love Quinn Hughes to go to New Jersey. Fuck yeah. Stack the deck, baby. Get the brothers. And they also have Luke.
Yeah, that was a common thing in this past draft, was just, let's grab everyone's brother. Everyone's brother. Just have it go through.
Yeah, like Taylor McCarr ended up on the Avs.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cole Sillinger's brother's on an AHL deal within the Blue Jackets organization.
Both of the Jones are on the Blackhawks, or the Chicago hockey team, as some people like to call it. And yeah, it's insane.
Now, you know the worst part? You know the worst part about this whole Erik Karlsson thing?
Shoot.
What?
You know where he's going to end up.
I don't, though.
Vegas. They always find a way.
When
there's a name like this out there.
There's no way. Because the Sharks won't do that unless we're getting a fucking boatload, and Vegas simply doesn't have a boatload.
LTIR, Weber, and Robin Leonard.
What do they have to give that's worth Erik Karlsson? Especially if they're going to want us to retain, which they are.
Yeah, fair point there.
First round picks.
What do they have? Yeah.
They still have their first round picks.
For how many years? Get 5 of them and we'll talk. One for every remaining fucking year of Erik Karlsson's contract.
They still have really solid defensemen like Nick Hague.
Give me Hague, White Cloud, and all your firsts.
See, there you go. Done deal. What are they going to give? Bam, we found it. There you go. I hope it doesn't happen, but it might. And then 2 other random stats really quickly. Shout out to 41-year-old Craig Anderson, who became the second goalie since 1955 to record a 40-plus save shutout at his age or older. The only other goalie to do it is Hockey Hall of Famer Johnny Bower, who recorded 2 different 40-plus save shutouts in 1966 and the mythical year of 1967.
He said it. He said the line.
God damn it.
And bingo. And Kirill Kaprizov became the fastest player in Minnesota Wild history to reach 200 points. He did it in 168 games, whereas Marian Gaborik, who had the record, did it in 290.
Yeah.
The Wild really haven't had an embarrassment of riches, have they? Like at any
No.
point.
We've been going back through all these old EA NHL titles for the charity streams that we've been doing. Not too late to donate, by the way. Hang out, twitch.tv/Tougie24. And, outside of Marian Gaborik, you will go through these teams and you'll just see these players where it's like, that's who you had surrounding the skill. Minnesota was always one of those real collection of like, oh yeah, that guy. That was like the entire team for the most part.
Yeah.
Like they had like last night, the fucking big surprise is like, hey, do you remember 11 games of Ilya Bryzgalov as a member of the Wild? No. I don't know too many people that do remember that, but that was a thing.
I do. I follow Mr. Universe everywhere.
There you go. Kaprizov is also the 5th fastest left wing in NHL history to reach 200 points.
Solid.
Ridiculous. Don't waste him, Minnesota. Don't waste him.
Too late.
Couple of general topics as well here. There was a 3-team trade that happened. And what a 3-team trade it was. As the Detroit Red Wings traded Giovanni Smith to Florida for Michael Del Zotto, and then immediately flipped Michael Del Zotto to Anaheim for Danny O'Regan. Blockbuster. But Cap Friendly has a sorting option for 3
Didn't even realize
trades.
Michael Del Zotto was still a thing.
Yeah.
And you believe it. And you believe it. Only 32 years old, Michael Del Zotto.
For Danny O'Regan, ex-Shark, by the way. Shark's a legend.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Danny O'Regan was part of the trade that we got for Evander Kane, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we had sent over someone and a first, and I think it was Danny O'Regan.
Oh, God. Well, whenever you talk about trades like this, I have to find out for sure.
Am I correct?
Danny O'Regan. A 2019 first-round pick that eventually ended up in Anaheim because it became Braden Tracy. And a 2019 fourth-round pick that became Ethan Keppen for Evander Kane.
Look at him go.
Holy hell, did the Sabres get fleeced, depending on what that Braden Tracy trade was. Fucking hell. Oof. That's it in terms of bringing this up, because that trade's not notable at all. But I was looking back through these 3-team trades, and for the most part, they recently have involved salary cap retention.
Yeah.
The last couple, Max Domi in March of this year, with the Panthers retaining salary, him eventually going to the Hurricanes when I wish he was a Bruin, but he fucking sunk the Bruins in the playoffs. Good job, Don. You fucking idiot. Love you. I say stuff like that, and I'm just like, huh. Yeah, I've never really heard from the Bruins in any kind of official capacity. I wonder why. There was the Matthias Janmark retained salary 3-team trade that involved San Jose randomly retaining salary on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to Vegas. There was the San Jose involved 3-team trade that involved them retaining salary on Nick Foligno so he could go to the Leafs for cheap.
Yeah, we got some draft picks though, baby. I think
You got a 4th rounder that became Ethan Cardwell. So
elite. He's so fucking elite.
there you go. There was the 3-team trade that involved David Savard retaining salary on Detroit to go to Tampa. Same for Robin Leonard, where Toronto randomly retained salary on Leonard, if you remember that, so he could end up in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, all of these trades, for the most part, revolved in retained salary. Like,
I like how
Brassard.
two of them involve Vegas, who just can't fucking help themselves.
Yeah.
Gamblers.
They're like the little cousin who just wants to put their foot in everything. Just like, hey, can I have a little piece of this? I'll give you money. Take it. Thank you. And then they just throw away fucking Pacioretty.
Fleury. Yeah.
Oh, we spent too
getting rid
much.
of Laner already too, man.
Jesus.
Like, yesterday's news. We don't like this toy anymore.
So, like, all of those trades that I mentioned,
like Andy from Toy Story. I don't want to play with you anymore. Okay, go ahead.
Like, all of these trades have happened, with the exception of the Brassard one I mentioned last. All of those have happened in less than the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, the 3-team trade has really become a more prominent thing. Because before that Brassard one in February of 2018, there was the 3-team trade in 2017 that sent Matt Duchene to Ottawa, Kyle Turris to Nashville, and got Colorado Andrew Hammond, who retired yesterday. Bravo to a better than anyone would have thought career for one Hamburglar, Andrew Hammond. He will forever be in hockey lore for the 2015 Senators run. Curtis Lazar eating the burger off the ice. Like, those will be that run, and those type of moments will be something that we talk about as, the hockey fans of this era.
Love stories like that.
Forever.
Yeah.
And think back to even longer when they're in the Eastern Conference and it was fucking I forget the first name. Gerber in
Martin
that forum.
Gerber.
Yeah.
Martin Gerb.
Andrew Hammond only played 67 games in the NHL.
Yeah.
At least in the regular season. But again, he has more name value than some guys who would have played 300-400 plus games.
The Hamburglar.
There
you go.
So bravo to Andrew Hammond. That trade, by the way, also got Colorado Bowen Byram.
Yeah,
and Samuel Girard.
Yeah.
Let's trade really quickly. Let me read this off. November of 2017, Ottawa gets Matt Duchene. Nashville gets Kyle Turris. Colorado, Andrew Hammond, the signing rights to Shane Bowers. Bowen Byram, a third-round pick that became Matthew Steenberg. That's just from Ottawa. From Nashville, Vladislav Kamenev, Sam Girard, the pick that eventually became Philip Hollander.
Jesus.
There were, 6-7 different assets in that going to Colorado? To wrap up my point about 3-team trades, though, that I found interesting, despite Colorado just robbing people blind. That was in 2017. 2016, there was a 3-team trade that sent John Scott to Montreal. That was around the time I think they were trying to just be like, you can't go to the All-Star game because now you're in the East.
Yep.
My favorite NHL conspiracy is them just trying to fuck over John Scott. And then there wasn't another one until 4 years earlier. Like, it's kind of crazy to me just how recent these 3-team trades are. This one in February of 2012. Colorado acquires Steve Downey from Tampa. Detroit acquires Kyle Quincy from Colorado. Tampa acquires Sebastian Piche from Detroit. And a first-round pick that became Andrei Vasilevsky.
Oh, man.
And then there was a 3-team trade 3 years before that in 2009. Sent Justin Williams out to the LA Kings. Worked out very well for them.
Yep.
And then that was the first 3-team trade in 13 fucking years.
Damn.
There wasn't a 3-team trade between January of 96 and March of 2009. I don't know if they were abolished or what the hell happened. The fuck. But yeah, very, very weird. Just, there are essentially more 3-team trades in the past 3 years than happened, at any time between 96 and 09, and pretty much throughout the entire course of the 90s. This 3-team trade list goes back to June of 91.
I mean, it makes sense. You have a lot of, to me at least, it makes sense. A lot of stigma around, 3-ways, because you had the Clinton era, and then of course the Bush era right after that.
Such a fucking Californian, Jesus Christ.
And then Obama came back, and we had fucking progress again, mother. And war crimes. But...
Barack Obama saved the three-way.
Let me be clear.
Let me be clear.
I'm gonna bring back the three-way. It's good to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can give me credit for that.
I'll have you back.
We're gonna get that dog.
Gotta have my
Out
beer.
of all.
And pussy too. That's my favorite. Gotta have them wings. And pussy too.
Out of all of the absurd things said on this podcast, especially in the year of our Lord 2022, Barack Obama reviving the three-way in pop culture might be the most ridiculous.
Yeah, the Obama three-way, baby.
Got that pussy popping.
Print it.
Sin, here's my problem. How the fuck do we continue this show after that? Like that's the.
I was
that's the
sitting
main
on a
event.
way to, initially it was going to be, come on, of course three-ways are getting more popular. It's a year of, it's a, time of awakening in our culture.
I think we end it there. I gotta be honest. I don't think we can go into talking about board ads again and Bettman defending them, or maybe changes to the NHL schedule and expanded playoffs. Like fuck all that shit. We've peaked. This is the perfect way to end our last regular show of 2022.
His campaign slogans were "Yes, we can" and "Change."
What I mean?
No, it was yes we can. It's just in brackets before the yes was three-ways. Yes, we can. We have an episode title.
I'll tell you in 3 ways. Yes, we can. Yes, we will.
Oh my god.
Yes, we can, and yes, we will. Kyle Dubas.
We can, we will. He wasn't talking about making the playoffs, Lise.
No. Oh, fuck.
I want to thank everybody for listening and watching and supporting the show.
Listen
again.
to this. We had like
This is why.
1,500 streams.
This is why.
1,500 downloads, wherever the fuck it was. Jesus Christ.
We need 3,000 now, apparently.
There you go. We will return to our previous heights.
We can and we will.
Or us talking about three-ways is the equivalent of us playing the fucking music while the Titanic goes down.
Man, you don't abandon your post. We're just fucking going.
A superior James Cameron movie.
There
Fuck
you go.
Avatar. There you go.
Titanic.
We tied this show up with a pretty little bow. Everybody, thank you for watching, listening, supporting the show in general. Again, we'll be back on Thursday talking about the biggest stories of 2022 before we take a brief little break and return in the new year. In the meantime, gentlemen, we'll throw it over to Endo Mills. What do you got going on aside from, I mean, I'm sure it'll be in the crop, your food behind you.
Oh, yeah. So, like, halfway through the podcast, my pizza arrived, which is why I was eating pasta in the beginning, because, I got to be a typical paisan and just only eat carbs and bread and wonder why I'm fat. Where was I going to go with this? I don't know. I'm not streaming this week. I will be doing a Christmas stream, where last year I did it on a whim, and I just watched Japanese game shows. Like, obscure Japanese game shows, like the one where they're sitting on a box, and like you have to like bunch of people just come through, like do different things to the boxes to make people fall off, and like last one standing wins. And then typical one, Takeshi's Castle, or MXC, as it's been migrated over here in North America. And God, that show is not aged well,
I'm
aged
sure.
well. Yeah, MXC is fucking, oh boy. But yeah, you can catch me Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Endo Mills, Twitch.tv/Endo Mills. I'm dumping all my all my NHL content off my channel because I'm kind of done with hockey, and I'm just gonna upload random shit. I mean, after I had a video that got like pretty good concurrency, I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna do whatever the hell I want. Now.
Hey, I'm making success. Fuck.
Yeah, I had like 500 views in like 3 days, and I'm like, yeah, this is great progress. And I played the game for another 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so you catch me there.
Sin, what do you got going on, buddy?
Well, a lot of esports broadcasts, that's for sure. Catch me in
Holy
Tougie
shit.
with
Yeah.
Sports Gamer.
Yeah.
Follow along with all the action. Twitch.tv/SportsGamerGG. I've also got my own YouTube channel, Sin for the Win Productions, where you can follow along with my multiple franchise modes that are running. And yeah, that's about it.
There you go. You guys can follow me everywhere, of course, at Tougie24. We'll be streaming the final few games in the EA NHL lineage over the next few nights before, again, much like the podcast being on break, I'll be taking about a week off here, heading in to the new year. Indeed, you can catch Sin and I on almost a daily goddamn basis over on twitch.tv/SportsGamerGG, leading up to our lovely February journey over to the Finlands once again. It's gonna be a time. It's gonna be emotional. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for supporting Three Ways. And
Damn right.
Oh my god! You know what's the best part about this? This podcast was okay when it was like just the two of us, Tougie and I, and then we had to make it a 3-way to make it better. So there you go.
There you go.
Point in case.
Thank you for listening to the light version of the Steve Dangle podcast.
Is that because I'm mixed? Is that the reason why it's the light version of the Steve Dangle podcast?
We've gotten that criticism before of like,
really?
oh yeah, you had the old guy on the show, and then that changed. So now what'd you do?
You brought in a black guy. I love how I've just been like, out of all the shit that I bring to the podcast, which is just basically nothing. It's like, oh, resident black guy.
That's a critique some people have. I do not view you that way. I view you as the man that I can make laugh by just stating the word 3-way again, which has worked.
Fuck,
it worked the second time right there.
It just happened right. It did. You got me. Wow, people suck, man.
Thanks for listening to the show. We'll see you guys on Thursday.